Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our returning guest, Devin Arscott. We're here to break down three awesome comics coming from Epic Fantasy: Noir, Endless Hunt, and Grantee. And man, I had the chance to read Endless Hunt. This was awesome, seeing some preview pages for Noir, and this is going to be a heavy hitter. Devin, first and foremost, I mean, we had you on for Magni the Mighty, interview 187. This is 410. We also got a live interview, the very first and only at Fantasticon. How have you been since you last been on the show, man?
Oh, I've been busy. Lots going on since we last seen each other and spoke. Been having a lot of work for hire gigs, putting together a couple different books. Just actually submitted a small pitch to a publisher last night, even though technically I submitted it like a week ago too, but I'm not gonna talk about all that. And just gearing up for this campaign coming up. So it's been a lot going on.
And I mean, you are coming out the gate. Are these going to be three individual issues?
Yes, three separate one-shots, a fantasy, raunchy-esque superhero comedy book, and then Noir, which is basically a vigilante hero book. So Endless Hunt, Granite, and Noir. So three separate one-shots.
So what made you want to go that route instead of the traditional just dropping them one at a time? Are you just trying to see how, see if this new method works so you can start pumping out more books a year? Or what is it? And for everyone that is watching, right here is a link. They are going live August 1st with these three awesome titles. Be sure to sign up. Pre-launching is the easiest way to get notified right when they go live.
So as far as my method, I figured why not take the risk at putting out three books as opposed to just one, because single Kickstarters are cool. They get you a moderate funding so long as you hit all those right notes and get the right type of audience to support those books, as seen with the last book at Kickstarter earlier this year, right before Fantasticon. I had already fulfilled that, or mostly fulfilled it. It was Bear of Ages #1.
Mm-hmm.
That was C.J. Hudson's book with Atula Siddharthan, Isaac Wilbanks, and yeah, I think that was all three of them. But we had some great covers for that, and I unbeknownst to myself, I didn't realize that when I took it to Fantasticon, when he saw me, it was like International Women's Month or whatever, International Women's Day or something like that. And I'm like, oh, it's selling with, women and girls really well. I think, let's see, I came with about 300 books. I left with just under 100, I believe.
Holy crap.
So I came with 3 boxes full, and I left with 1.
So that made the trip home a little bit easier for you too, huh?
Oh, most definitely. True. It was nice to see that I didn't bring as much as I brought with me back. So that was relieving. But I figured that I'd just be bold with this one. I talked it over with CJ, and I just really wanted to bring it home. I would have had a 4th one on this, but it just couldn't get done in time, unfortunately. So I just pushed it to the side, and we ran with the 3. So I figured, why not test the water, see how it does, see what the reception to each book is, and then go with whatever was the most popular out of the 3 to continue.
Okay. And then, so I'm assuming you're probably going to be doing like individual issue sales and then bundling them together as well?
I'm going to try. So I meant to send you the code or whatever, the link to just kind of preview the page itself. But I didn't even think about it until now. But that's fine, because there's a lot to be had with this. I'll give away a couple rewards that I'm excited about personally. We got a lot of great variants. So a lot of cover Bs. There are a couple cover Cs for CJ stuff. And then we get to the good stuff. We got a big bundle which gives you everything in the campaign. So, all the variants, all the standard books. You'll end up getting a digital bundle that we have as well. And then there's some bigger tiers, which I'm hoping that people would actually take seriously, because there's one that allows you to essentially become a published writer if you don't have any published work. or published creators rather, through my Epic Fantasy newsletter. So it offers, you get to invest in Epic Fantasy. So you get every book from this campaign. You'll get 2-page story in the newsletter. You'll get every campaign's material for 18 months as well, for one decent price. I think it's like $500 or $600.
Wow.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
that's not
so
bad.
Basically, for almost 2 years, you get everything that's published in that time frame, and probably then some, as well as, being able to say that, hey, I have a story on this newsletter, go look at it, So I think that's a cool one. And then there's like maybe one more tier above that. That's like the super fan tier. So you get everything below that, and then there's a special mystery box attached. So there's stuff in there that no one else will have but that person.
Okay. So tell us a little bit. I mean, we talked a little bit about the Kickstarter, some of the rewards and everything. Now tell us a little bit about these stories.
So these are obviously 3 separate types of stories. We'll start with Endless Hunt because I know I sent you a copy of that. So Endless Hunt was a fantasy story that CJ and I had worked on previously, long before this Kickstarter. And something in my mind told me to ask him about it. So basically, it follows King, I don't want to butcher his name, Shemu. And basically, he's going on a long adventure, basically, to get his wife back from this druid, that's held her captive. But there's a cool twist towards the end of the book that I'm very excited about. It kind of delves into that fantasy aspect as soon as you understand what's going on, and then you see it, the twist as the book ends. And it's just, a great, fantasy book that I feel like would have a lot more content we can make from this in the future. Then we have Granite as well.
Well, I was gonna say real quick while we were on Endless Hunt, I did read it. Some notes I had, I really loved the action in it, the fighting, the gore. It wasn't overly gory, but it was the right amount. And the twist, it's funny you said that because that was a big part of my notes too. Is I put that I really enjoyed the twist in it, and just how it was implemented. Like that book definitely was constructed in a way that I think is going to leave the readers wanting more.
And I agree with that. And I think that's primarily the reason why I asked CJ if I could publish this for him, because the book was already pretty much done. Rio had it done back in April. So, the book had been completed at that point. I had got some test prints of it. So I have about 18 of those left. I gave CJ some comps earlier this month. So the book looked great physically. So it's just one of those books that I feel that fantasy lovers would really appreciate for, the balance of story, the right amount of action, the great plot twist towards the end, and just the artwork is gorgeous. Rio did a fantastic job. And Reed Hinckley Barnes, he's a great letterer. I love working with Reed. He's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. So you said the next one was Granted or Grantee?
Granite, yeah.
Granite. I keep butchering that word.
oh no, you're good. So basically, Granite is our first of our 2 superhero offerings this time around. So Granite is kind of like a Deadpool-esque character, but I feel like she's funnier in my opinion. So basically, she's a party girl. She's got these cool, amazing superpowers, that make her invulnerable to damage. But she looks kind of like stone. Her skin is like stone-like a little bit, but she still has that nature about her that shows hey, she's this cool superhero that goes out. Well, basically the premise of this book, she ends up losing her abilities, and now she's got to figure out how to navigate as a regular person. And there's also a small twist in there as well that you haven't seen yet. No one's seen it but me, as to what happens when she loses her powers and the end result, what it means for her as a hero. And she'll have to redefine herself after this point. So I think it's a great book. It's a very funny, real raunchy, If you like
that's a really interesting concept too. Taking someone who feels like that, probably feels invincible, and then making them down to earth. Like I love that. And last but not least, we have another interesting one that I had a chance to check out previews, and this one looks awesome.
Oh yeah, that's my baby right there, Noir. So Noir is a vigilante superhero book that I basically want to put together because there was no Batwoman on the stands for me to read, and I feel like there's just very few, superhero and vigilante type, heroes out there with a book published currently. So I figured, why not? Why don't I do it? So basically, Noir. The premise of this one is she had just come off of a night-long fiasco called the Gauntlet, basically, because her arch nemesis, the director, who is like my Mysterio, but he's just a real average dude with a hell of an ego. And basically she was at the end of the line and she finally caught up with him. So now she's got to basically stop him before, he gets revenge on the people that essentially made him go the villain route, which I wanted this to feel, as authentic as possible. And on top of that, I wanted to have its moments to where, it's almost like something you've read before, but this is not something that you've read before. I wanted to have a throwback feel. I looked at a lot of Sil Ray's books that kind of just threw you into the narrative right away, no backstory, no nothing. You get it from the dialogue and then just keep going. So that was really my premise for it, and I got a lot of good feedback from my test group before. While I was getting art done, I just had people read the script and they all liked it. There were no real improvements that needed to be made from it. So I just pressed on with it.
It had to be a really good feeling too.
Oh yeah, it's always a great feeling when people tell you, "Oh yeah, this is fantastic," And people really like the way that I just kind of threw them in the middle of the action, as opposed to giving the full backstory. Like I could put a recap page, but where's the fun in that? It's a lot easier for me to just throw you into it, let you have it, and then some. And then also, it has a 6-page Granite backup as well, because I like backup stories. So Noir's story is like 16 pages long, because that's all I really wanted to be. I felt like it was a good one and done to introduce you to the character. And then I was like, well, what else could we put into this? Like, I asked CJ, hey, you got something I could put in this? He was like, oh yeah, I got a 6-page Granite story that I just did. So I'm like, okay, cool. So, and that one's actually pretty cool. I really love it. I'm not gonna spoil what it is, but it's very cool, and it really develops her side of things really well. So you get 2 doses of Granite. You get 6 pages within my book, Noir, and then you get the full book with Granite herself. So if anything, I fully advise folks to read Noir first, then Granite, because it'll put things into a better context.
Okay.
In my opinion, as to her journey as a hero, and just, obviously, like I said, how she's going to end up having to redefine herself after the events of her actual book.
So real quick, for everyone that is watching, right here is a link to hit that pre-launch and get signed up to be notified when this drops. For everyone that is watching, why should they back this? If you had to say, one thing out to them to kind of help convince them to hit that sign up button.
Well, I believe in these projects highly. They're all great for each individual genre that they cover and topic that they cover. If my explanations weren't enough, then I urge you to support us, because we're trying to put out stories that not only we would love to tell and showcase, but I believe that everyone else that reads them would also enjoy them highly. Even if you don't get all 3 books and you only decide to get one and you love that book, your support of this campaign overall really helps us figure out what our next steps are as creators. So if you've ever felt any type of doubt when you've seen me post about the campaign coming up on Twitter or anywhere else that I am, Have none. Have none. I highly advise you to jump in on this because I believe this will be such a fantastic campaign, and these books are a lot to love, honestly.
Absolutely. So you've been on the show, you know the drill. It's time to ask you for a little bit of advice. As someone who's been an editor, someone who's been a creator and a writer, for someone looking to start their first script, I mean, what would you say would be kind of like an easy start for them? You know, someone looking to just do the very first one. I mean, what's the best way to go about it?
So first off, polish your skills first before anything. So before you go reach out to collaborators, you need to polish your work. It doesn't matter if you're a writer, you're a illustrator, whether you just do pencils and inks, both, whatever, colorist, whatever. Practice. Practice makes better. Perfection is really perfect because of imperfections in something.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a whole year to figure out my style, which has evolved over time. And I still feel that there are ways to improve on myself every single day. I write every single day, even if it's just 1 page, 2 page. I wrote 5 pages yesterday, and that took me maybe 15 minutes. That's all the time you have to do. Dedicate at least half an hour, especially if you're someone like an illustrator. Do like a decent sketch to warm yourself up. If you feel you can keep going, keep going. Same to writers. If you do like a short story, 1 to 10 pages maximum, just to test out your ability to see how well you can tell a narrative in such a short amount of time and page count. That's a very good test of skill. This is why I always advise folks to do short stuff first, and then once you're ready to actually go for a full-length project with a collaborator or whatever, then you can do it, because not only did you practice your short narrative, you've also practiced your long narrative, and it actually helps overall. This is why I'm able to write long projects or super short projects. It's because I practice. If you don't practice, then you won't get better.
I like the 15 minutes a day. I think that's something that's easy to implement. I think that's something, because I've been wanting to start writing myself, and it's definitely something I can start implementing right now. I like that, and there's some solid advice there. We have Dirk Manning saying, 2 of my favorite comic people on one stream, Rocket Guys. I'm signed up to be notified upon launch. Can't wait to support it. Hey, thank you for stopping in, Dirk. We appreciate it. Last but not least, Devin, what are you consuming outside of creating? Video games, movies, TV shows, you name it, man.
Funny you ask, because I just finished Yakuza Like a Dragon last night for the first time, finally, after what seems like an eternity trying to finish the game. And I'm actually gonna do the not New Game Plus, but their premium adventure. So basically, I'll reload my save and then just keep going and finish things that I haven't finished. I'm gonna try the Millennium Tower after I do a couple dungeons. Let's see. Haven't really been watching much TV lately, unfortunately. There's a lot of stuff that I want to see. There's a lot of movies I want to see. Just I've been focused on writing, but I will say that I've been going back over the old Justice League cartoon stuff.
Okay.
Just kind of play around and take notes on the narrative, plus nostalgia. I grew up watching it, so it was pretty cool to see. And then what else? I got a bunch of books this past weekend. I've been trying to cut up through, so it's hard to sit down and just focus on reading. And nowadays, now that I'm literally writing my butt off. And but no, there's some great books out there. The Warlock Rebirth is one of my favorite books. It's a limited series by Ron Mars and Ron Lim. It's very great. I'm a big Adam Warlock fan. Cyborg by Morgan Hampton and co. That's a great DC book. It's probably one of the few DC books that I highly enjoy and recommend folks to get. Kind of hope that they decide to extend it and just let it be a full ongoing instead of a limited, because I like Cyborg. I love that book so much, and it's just this is the best development he's got in a very long time. So I highly suggest everybody to go out there and get it. And then I'm waiting on like over a dozen Kickstarters, man. Like I look at my Kickstarter app every day to see if somebody's updated, say, oh, where are you going to get your books tomorrow or something like that.
It's like Christmas almost.
Yeah. And I literally watch my mail like a hawk, man. It's just crazy. But otherwise, that's pretty much what I'm doing.
That's awesome. I've been doing a charity stream for a 3-year-old named Hazel. She has inoperable brain cancer. So I've been doing Star Wars Jedi. Yeah, I ate 2 beans. I got to get you a Steam key too. I haven't forgot. I've been doing Star Wars Jedi, Mario Kart. I was doing a lot of Diablo, but I kind of stepped back from it. And yeah, just having a blast with it. But guys, it is time for us to wrap up. It's New Comic Book Day. Be sure to hit that pre-launch link and sign up while you still have time to be notified. That being said, I hope you all have a good Wednesday. But most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.